Hello, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and in this video that I've created for the new Boston, I'm going to be talking about the PHP switch statement. Now, you might have already looked at if and if-else statements, and with incorporating an else-if to do multiple checks. But what if you've got a lot of numbers or a lot of strings to check, or something you need to check in a long list? For this we use the switch. It's basically a better, cleaner and faster way of using an if, else if, and then an else. So the syntax for this is switch. In here we need simply a variable reference. So if up here we were to create number equals let's say 1, we need to switch this number, and now we create a block here which is going to have a lot of content inside of it. We're basically evaluating this number, and we don't evaluate inside here. Like, I couldn't say number equals 1, for example. I would evaluate inside here, and we do this with the case keyword, and we use case and then we say what we want it to equal to. So case 1, I want to maybe echo 1. Let's just indent this slightly so we can see what we're doing. And then we end it with break, and we end with a semicolon. So this is the basic structure. Let me just create another one so you can get an idea of what we're doing. Okay, so hopefully by now you've got an idea of the syntax. This is basically how it looks. What is this program essentially doing? Now let me just go down and create a case 3, and then we can just demonstrate what this might be useful for. So let's tab over. So what we've essentially done here is we've created a mini program to convert this number that's entered here into string data. So instead of writing if number equals 1 then echo 1, else if number equals 2 echo 2, else if number equals 3 echo 3, end it else, and we can blah blah blah, and it just gets a lot more confusing. This is a really easy way to view. Yep, case 1 we echo 1, case 2 we echo 2, case 3 we echo 3, and this is basically what our number evaluates to. So we could in fact change this to string data. This could be text here, and exactly the same here. It could correspond to string data here. We'll look at an example of that in just a moment, but for now my little mini program is going to convert the numbers, the integers. Remember, we're not using this as string, this is a number in itself. We're converting that to the corresponding text. So now what we can do is just run the program. Let's press refresh, and you can see that it's outputted 1. Now if we change this number up here to 2, you can see that we're going to say case, yes it does equal 2, therefore echo 2. So let's refresh, that says 2, and the same with number 3, so let's just test that, and that says 3. Now what happens if we change this to something like 4? We don't have a case to handle this being equal to 4, so what happens? You probably guessed, nothing happens. So we need some way of writing here what's going to happen if there's no case to handle the input that that is coming into this switch statement. So we use the keyword default, and we use a break as well. But in here we can echo out. Let's just pull that in a bit. Echo out. Let's say number not found. Okay. So by default, let's say for example the number is 4 as we have it at the moment. The default action would be to echo not found, number not found. So if we refresh, it says number not found. The same as if we were to come up and change this to -10, for example, it's going to do exactly the same thing, and we maintain echoing out this number not found thing. Okay, so there's a different way that we can structure this. I'm just going to take out the default for now. Let's just get rid of everything in here as well, and we're going to basically start with this completely different concept. I'm going to say day equals, and at the moment I'm going to set this to say Monday. Now, inside my switch statement, remember to change this as well. Inside my switch statement, I basically want a little program that's going to tell me if this day is a weekend or if it's a weekday. So, or if, you know, I mean, if it is a weekend, we could say day equals Alex, and that would not be a weekend because there isn't a weekend day called Alex. So, to do this, I'm basically going to say case. And remember I said we can deal with string data as well. Case Saturday, and then underneath, in fact that's a colon, not a semicolon. Underneath I'm going to say case. I'm not even breaking. I'm just saying case Sunday. Okay. Then I'm going to break, and in here I'm going to write my output. So it's a weekend. Now, an interesting point here, you can see that this bit's turned black. That's because I'm using a single quotation mark within single quotation marks. I'm going to use my backslash character to escape that. Now, this program is basically saying we're setting a date at the moment. It's Monday. If this variable here, remember we're switching it in here. If this equals Saturday or it equals Sunday, echoing it's a weekend. Otherwise, let's just pull that in a bit more. Echo not a weekend. So let's test this program. Monday should produce us with the result not a weekend. Let's refresh. Not a weekend. Now let's change this to Saturday, and we can refresh. And you can see it's a weekend. So this is a really good way to compare multiple things at once and then give an output for that. And then you can always use your default if data that's being read into this switch statement can't be recognized as one of the cases. So that's basically switch statements in PHP. Hello, this is Alex from phpacademy.org and welcome to another video tutorial for the New Boston. Now I'm going to be talking about PHP die and exit, and these are two really useful functions that you should get used to using in your program so you can cut the script at any point where you may receive a fatal error in which you don't want to execute any more code. Now let me just show you, demonstrate how this works. Let's say I want to echo out hello and a space, and down here I want to echo out a space and world. Now if we were to run this normally, we refresh our browser, you can see it will just produce the result hello world because we've included hello with a space and we've included world. Now let me just use the die feature in here. What this is going to do is from this point onwards is going to kill the rest of the page. Okay, so let's have a look at the result in the browser. Okay, so we're just receiving the string hello. Now, why is this useful? I mean, bear in mind you can also use exit as well. This does exactly the same thing. If we refresh, we're getting the same result. Now, why would we want to kill our script in the middle of a page? I mean, first of all, using die and exit are exactly the same thing. Bear in mind you can also, part of this function, you can specify an error in here, so you can use some string to output. So error, page has ended, for example. Let's just echo again the world part of this page. So if we refresh, you can see that we've received this message. So you can do that if you want, and you can do exactly the same thing with exit as well. There we go, same thing. So how do we use this in a real life example and why is it useful? Okay, so without overcomplicating things, I'm going to attempt now to connect to a database. Now, whether you've come across databases yet or not, this is an example to show you how die or exit can be used. Now, to connect to a MySQL database, we use the MySQL connect function, and we supply it with three. I mean, we've looked at functions anyway, so you should really understand this at this point anyway. So I'm connecting to localhost my username is Alex, and I don't specify a password because I'm running on a local server. So what do I do if this is wrong? Now at the moment, if I refresh the page, nothing. Oh, okay. Oh no, okay, sorry. My username is root, so I've already produced myself an error. So if I refresh there, okay, so that's connected absolutely fine. So we know that that's connected because we've not received an error. That might not necessarily be the case, but I know that my username is root, my password is blank, and I'm connecting to my local server. So what happens if we want to specify our own error if this hasn't connected? So for example, or die could not connect to database. What I've essentially done here is used or, so it's a logical operator. We've said or. We can also say or like this. So or die. If this is unsuccessful, we want to die and produce this error to the page. So at the moment, nothing's happening. So I can echo down here, connected, and I refresh, and I receive the error, the message connected. Now, what if I change this around? So I want to connect to, in fact, let's just change this back to Alex because I know that's not my username. Now, when I refresh, you can see that we've killed the page. This has produced an error, and we've specified our own error as well. Now, what if we want to get rid of this error, and we just want to display this error? We've already displayed our user friendly. We just pop an at before. Just pop an at beforehand. Now when we refresh, we basically are just left with could not connect to database. So this is essentially a user-friendly way of connecting to the database or killing the page. Obviously we're not now outputting connected, killing the page and saying could not connect to database. So that's essentially what we've done. Like I said before, you can replace that with the double vertical lines and it will do exactly the same job. We're just using logical operators there, which we've already covered. So you've now seen a real life example of where you can use die. Obviously this can also be exit, so if we refresh the page it does exactly the same thing, could not connect to database. So that is basically the die and exit functions within PHP and how useful they can actually be.